All right, Shalom Hakim. Shalom, Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. This is your brother Zakaria Allah, branched out here in Williamsport, Pennsylvania. Coming with another lesson through the Spirit. And Lord willing, this lesson to be edifying, all right, to the Lord's elect. Before I get started with this lesson, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakha Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, of whom I've grown in this truth under. And shalom to the Akim out there that's pushing the truth, that's laboring in the word, and that's pushing the gospel of the great kingdom that's soon to come. All right, my fellow yokemen, shalom to the Akwath that's listening in, that's remaining true to the faith and remaining faithful and submissive to their husbands and guiding their children. And shalom to the hopeful elect of the 12 tribes that scattered abroad throughout the four corners of the earth. All right, to the Israelite foreigners out there, the remnant who live among the heathen and who look like those heathen nations. But your lineage goes back to the progenitors of the 12 tribes of the nation of Israel through the line of your fathers. All right, I want to say peace and blessings to you all. Barakatham. All right, Tawab Barakah. It's pretty early in the morning, you know what I'm saying? As you may know, I've just been under the weather for past couple of days. So yeah, took the time to stay home, you know what I'm saying? Try and recuperate a bit. But you know, the spirit just jumped on me. I was listening to this video from Kim Iverson. All right, and she was going into the findings of Ray Dalio. You know what I'm saying? Pretty much stating that America is in stage 6 of, 9 stages that leads to a collapse. Okay? And it couldn't have come at a better time because we're reaching the 250th year of America's inception, you know what I'm saying? When America was actually established as a country, in 1776. And here it is, 2026, 250 years later. So, as Kim is going to get into, which fair use, okay? This is for educational purposes only. She pretty much breaks down a bit what these 9 stages are, you know what I'm saying? And we are close to the end. All right, we are close to the end. So we're arguably in the 7th stage right now. So with that, you know what I'm saying, we're gonna ride through this video, you know what I'm saying, and I'm just gonna grab what scriptures come to mind, you know what I'm saying, and that'll be the lesson. So check this out. Slack it. Do this real quick.
So Ray Dalio, the guy who founded Bridgewater, which became the largest hedge fund in the world, has spent decades studying how empires rise and fall, not politically, financially, structurally, over hundreds of years. And he says something pretty sobering. He says, we are likely in stage 6, maybe even early stage 7 of a 9-stage cycle that major world powers go through before their dominance fades and the system resets. Every dominant empire follows a pattern. He says in his article that he released, it's official, the world order has broken down. He says, in my parlance, we are in the stage 6 part of the big cycle in which there is a great disorder arising from being in a period in which there are no rules. Might is right, and there is a clash of great powers. How stage 6...
And it's important to note that the mindset that you're seeing right now is might is right. You know what I'm saying? And, law begins to break down, international law no longer applies, and we're seeing that. All right, we're seeing that behavior coming from America, Babylon the Great. You know what I'm saying? As it's trying desperately to maintain its dominance. All right.
Works as is explained in detail in chapter 6, the big cycle of external order and disorder in my book, Principles for Dealing with the Changing World Order, while I previously shared a lengthy set of excerpts from chapter 5, so you could see how what is going on in the United States tracks with the classic cycle explained in that chapter. I'm including all of chapter 6 here for you to review. And so he then publishes his chapter 6 there in the article if you're interested in reading it on X. But basically, what he says is that every dominant empire follows a pattern, and it begins with total victory. So, like after World War II, the United States wasn't just powerful, it was unmatched. In 1945, America produced roughly half of the world's economic output, half. We held 2/3 of the world's gold. Europe was rubble. Japan was ash. Britain was bankrupt, so we wrote the rules. We built the Bretton Woods system. We made the dollar the backbone of global trade. We created the IMF and World Bank. We formed NATO. We put the US Navy in every major shipping lane on earth. That was stage 1. Okay. So basically, the winner writes the rule book. Then comes stage 2, the golden era. The 1950s and 60s, what did we see? Manufacturing boomed, highways were built, the middle class exploded. One income could support a family, wages rose with productivity, the dollar was trusted. America wasn't just strong, it was stable. Now, every empire has that moment. Britain had it after defeating Napoleon in 1815. The pound sterling became the global currency. The British Navy ruled the seas. London was the financial center of the world. But then comes stage 3, debt. Because when you're dominant, you get comfortable. Britain began borrowing heavily to maintain its empire. So by the early 1900s, its relative economic strength was shrinking while its global commitments remained enormous. So in America, look at the numbers. In 1980, U.S. federal debt was about 30% of the GDP. Today, what is it? 120%. We're carrying more debt relative to our economy than at almost any time in peacetime history.
That's that's insane. All right, that is insane. But this is what you see in terms of the final moments of this greatest kingdom that has ever been established, all right, in the world. The greatest kingdom that has ever been established is going to go down in the most dramatic fashion. Okay? So, as she's pointing out, different economies, different great empires have gone through this. You know what I'm saying? And that's where you go into understanding the beast, okay, and the 7 heads that preceded the wound that was healed. You know what I'm saying? So let me get this real quick. Let's go to a couple ones. Let's go to Ecclesiastes chapter 1 and verse 9. It reads, Slacky. It reads, "The thing that hath been is that which shall be, and that which is done is that which shall be done. And there is no new thing under the sun. Is there any thing whereof it may be said, See, this is new? It hath been already of old time, which was before us." You know what I'm saying? And the thing about it is that we've seen Rome be overspread with their military, you know what I'm saying, with their legions all around the region, all around the known world at that time. You know what I'm saying? So their military was overspread. We saw Rome devalue its currency. We've seen We've seen Rome go into massive debts. We've seen we've seen moral decay. We've seen trust fade away in the electoral, what's the word? The electoral establishment. You know what I'm saying? All right, the foundation of democracy, if you will. You see? What else? You know what I'm saying? Public trust in leaders and leadership had failed. So all kinds of things that we've seen, that we're seeing now, has happened before. You know what I'm saying? So this is Daniel chapter 4 and verse 17. It reads, "This matter is by the decree of the watchers, and a demand by the word of the holy ones, to the intent that the living may know that the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men, and he giveth it to whomsoever he will, and setteth up over it the basest of men." You see, the Lord is the one in control of all these different nations having their dominance and their rule. And it's all leading to this final stage, to this final positioning in prophecy, where it's written in 2 Esdras chapter 6 and verse 9, "For Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth." You see?
So when debt grows faster than productivity, the system gets fragile. Then comes stage 4, inequality. Before the Great Depression, the top 1% in America owned over 30% of the nation's wealth. Speculation was rampant. Then the market collapsed nearly 90%. And today, the top 1% again owns roughly 1/3 of total wealth. Housing is unaffordable for millions of people. Asset owners soared during the last decade of money printing. Wage earners struggled to keep up. So when people feel locked out, resentment builds. Then we get to stage.
And don't forget, just like I did the lesson last night, you know what I'm saying? These people at the very tippy top, they're about to take everything that the small man, that the little man has. Okay, they're about to take everything that the little guy has. Just like George Carlin said. Okay, just like George Carlin said. He said they're coming for your retirement. They're coming for your pension. They're coming for it. They want it back. You know what I'm saying? And they're going to get it. You see? So it's only a matter of time, man, before this thing really bottoms out. Okay?
Stage 5, institutional decay. Weimar Germany in the early 1930s saw trust collapse. Political violence became normal. Hyperinflation wiped out savings. Extremist parties surge. Late Rome, political assassinations, factional warfare, loss of faith in the Senate. And today, large portions of, we're seeing that same exact thing, that large portions of people are just believing that the elections are rigged, that media is propaganda, that courts are politicized, and that the other political party is an existential threat. Now, you don't have to agree with those perceptions. You just have to acknowledge that they exist. So that is late cycle behavior, according to Ray Dalio. Now we move on to stage 6. And this is where he says we're really, when kind of look at these stages, we're more at early stage 7. Both parties want you to believe this is, hand in heart with them, 6-5. Before World War I, Britain, they were the big dominant empire, but Germany, their industrial output surpassed Britain's by 1913. Germany's navy was expanding, its economy was accelerating. Britain wasn't weak, it just wasn't unchallenged anymore. So that tension simmered for years before the first shots were even fired. Now look at today. China's share of global GDP in 1990 was about 4%. Today, it's close to 19%. So it's the world's largest manufacturer. It has built the world's largest Navy ship count. It is developing alternative payment systems. It's expanding influence everywhere with its Belt and Road across Asia, Africa, Latin America. China is growing. Meanwhile, the United States runs persistent trillion-dollar deficits, carries massive debt, maintains military commitments across the globe. So this, that is the exact historical setup that has preceded great power confrontation before. That's when we get into stage 7, which is the economic war. And you could argue that this is where we're at in the 9-stage collapse, is that we're actually at the economic war part. This is the part people ignore. In the 1930s, the United States passed the Smoot-Hawley tariffs. Global trade collapsed by 2/3. Countries retaliated. The U.S. froze Japanese assets and cut off oil exports. Japan calculated that it would run out of oil in 2 years. So what did Japan do? Pearl Harbor. Economic strangulation cornered a rising power. Today, the U.S. restricts semiconductor exports to China. We freeze foreign reserves, as it did with Russia. What did we do? We froze basically 300 billion Russian dollars. We talk of the talk of de-dollarization around the globe is increasing. Trade blocs are forming. We see BRICS, for example. Now here's the part Dahlia worries about, which is the economic war that follows that. That does not automatically lead to bombs when you start seeing these tariff wars and kind of the stuff that we're seeing right now.
Well, I mean, that's just the inevitability. You have many of these economists, and they always say that trade wars turn into real wars all the time. A trade war will become a kinetic war, all right? Time after time again, you see. This is Revelation chapter 17 and verse 10. It says, "And there are 7 kings, 5 are fallen, and one is, and the other is not yet come. And when he cometh, he must continue a short space. And the beast that was and is not, even he is the 8th." Okay, and that would be America. America that comes out of these other empires, okay, which were basically built upon the sort of foundation of Rome. You see what I'm saying? Where you had you had the British, all right, that pretty much mothered America. You know what I'm saying? So these 7 heads, you had Greece, Rome, Germania Major, Germania Minor, Spain, France, Great Britain. You see? So it says, verse 11, "And the beast that was and is not, even he is the 8th, and is of the 7, and goeth into perdition." All right, and goeth into perdition. So what I want to do right now, I want to look up this word for perdition. All right, real quick. All right, this is from the online etymology. Okay, it says perdition. Perdition, from old French, perdition, meaning loss or calamity. Perdition of souls, and directly from late Latin, perditionem. All right, meaning ruin or destruction. You see what I'm saying? So, continue. Noun of action. From past participle stem of Latin, perdere, meaning to do away with, to destroy, okay, lose, throw away, to squander. All right, so again, let me read it again. It says, "And the beast that was and is not, even he is the 8th, and is of the 7, and goeth into perdition, And now we're about to see, all right, the conclusion of this prophecy, okay? To where the eighth, being America, having come out of this line of empires before it, okay, is going to go into perdition, and it's going to be the worst, the worst overthrow of any empire. It's going to be the most devastating. You see what I'm saying? It's going to be on a grand scale, right? So let's go back.
Now with the, okay, we're going to restrict your exports to China. We're going to freeze foreign reserves. We're going to do sanctions. We're going to do all these things. That's the beginning stage of this stage 7 economic warfare. And when you get deeper into stage 7, it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to break out into like a kinetic war, but historically it often does. That's stage 8. So we kind of have to see how stage 7 plays out, but stage 7 could just remain this really harsh economic war that we're having with practically everybody right now around the globe, but mostly we're really aiming it at China. I mean, all the tariffs around the world that Trump has been doing, that's aimed at China at the end of the day. It's about limiting, hey, we don't really want you doing so much trade with China. We still want to be the top dog in the world, trade with us, partner with us. We're the shining star on the sea, or star on the hill, whatever the analogy is there. And really we're doing all of this to try to harm China. So let's get to
I like how she said that. The shining star on the hill. Let's go to Jeremiah. Okay, let's hit Jeremiah chapter 51. Okay. All right, this is Jeremiah chapter 51 and verse 6. It says, "Flee out of the midst of Babylon and deliver every man his soul. Be not cut off in her iniquity, for this is the time of the Lord's vengeance. He will render unto her a recompense. Babylon hath been a golden cup in the Lord's hand, that made all the earth drunken. The nations have drunken of her wine, therefore the nations are mad." You see what I'm saying? America used to be that golden cup. America used to be that shining beacon, that shining light. You know what I'm saying? And that's that golden cup that the Lord has used, you know what I'm saying? And has filled the cup with iniquity. You know what I'm saying? The cup is being filled with all this madness. You know what I'm saying? And now it's reaching the point to where it's time for it to be taken down, man. All right? It's time for it to be taken down. Let's go to the book of Romans. All right. This is Romans chapter 9 and verse 14. It says, "What shall we say then? Is there unrighteousness with the Most High? Power forbid." It says, "For he saith to Moses, I will have mercy on whom I will have mercy, and I will have compassion on whom I will have compassion. So then it is not of him that willeth, nor of him that runneth, but of the Most High that showeth mercy. For the scripture saith unto Pharaoh, even for this same purpose have I raised thee up, that I might show my power in thee, and that my name might be declared throughout all the earth." You see what I'm saying? The same way. It says, therefore hath he mercy on whom he will. He have mercy, whom he will have mercy, and whom he will he hardeneth. Okay? So the same way that the Lord built up Pharaoh's great empire, same way he built it up just so he could show his power and show that these nations ain't nothing. Show that this great, massive world power is nothing in the sight of the Lord. Well, he's doing the same thing now. Okay? He built America up to his peak, to the peak and the height of his strength, the height of his pride. You know what I'm saying? Where the saying is, you know, the saying was, who can make war with America? Well, who could make war with the beast? You know what I'm saying? So the Lord raised up this place, man. Now America has something that none of these other empires ever had. America has nukes. America has AI. America has all these different things that they use in order to conduct modern warfare, advanced warfare. You see. So the Lord is going to bring this place down, man, as he brought it all the way up to its height. You know what I'm saying? The scriptures say in Isaiah chapter 47, sit in the dust, O virgin daughter of Babylon, sit in the ground, there is no throne. You see, sit on the ground, man, sit in the dust. Okay?
Stage 8. Because this is where we're headed, according to Ray Dalio. Stage 8 is when rivalry stops being financial and it starts getting physical. So in 1914, Europe had already been in the arms race for years. Germany had built up its navy. British had responded. Alliances were formed. Trade tensions were rising. Nationalism was intense. Then an assassination in Sarajevo happened. And then within weeks, Europe was at war. The assassination did not cause World War I. It triggered something that had already been building for decades. So that's where we would be at with us. It's not like, oh, you know, you did this and therefore now we're in World War III. No, I mean, we've had all of these buildups happening and we could say, well, it was actually a long ramp that got us there. And that's the same thing with World War II.
And it's interesting because there's a big, I think, what was it, a $4 million, or I forget how much it was, but there's a bounty on Trump's head from Iran. You see what I'm saying? So hey man, we're still seeing assassinations and all that stuff, man, like what just happened with Gaddafi's son, you know. So it's still a lot of stuff that's about to go down, man. A lot of things that's about to take place. And right now they brought I think three different destroyers over to the coast of Iran. You know what I'm saying? Off the coast of Iran, you know what I'm saying? So this war is inevitable. Okay? And when they strike Iran, that starts a whole domino effect. You know what I'm saying? Gas prices will go sky high, man. Straits of Hormuz being cut off, you know what I'm saying? Which will devastate every major economy. Then you got to think about the fact that, you know, if they strike Iran will strike all of America's bases in the region. And so if we're looking at all these bases getting struck and getting devastated, then we're going to be seeing massive casualties, mass casualties. And that's going to lead to what? It's going to lead to conscriptions, okay? Mandatory conscriptions in America, all right? The draft will be real. The draft will be real. You know what I'm saying? So it's all it's one big slippery slope when you go against Iran, man, because you got to contend with Russia, you got to contend with China, North Korea. You see what I'm saying? It's not going to be some in and out thing. All right? The scriptures do not tell you that. The scriptures tell you that this is going to be something major that's going to cause the collapse. It's going to cause the catastrophe, the perdition, if you will.
You know, when you look at 1939, for example, by then Germany had rearmed, Japan had invaded China. The United States had imposed economic pressure. Oil was restricted. Trade blocs had hardened. When Germany invaded Poland, it wasn't, that was the moment. There was a big buildup that led up to that. That was the ignition of a decade of escalating pressure, basically. That is stage 8. Okay. So it's not just war, it's the point where backing down becomes politically impossible. And that is the key historical pattern that Dalio emphasizes.
And yes, it's to the point where no side can back down, man. Because none of these major powers can afford to seem weak. You see what I'm saying? And right now, America is seeming weak. Why? Because you talked all this talk to Iran and you haven't struck them yet. You haven't struck them yet, man. You keep pushing the goalposts, talking about we'll give you a little more time. You know what I'm saying? And Benjamin Milikowski keeps visiting the White House. You know what I'm saying? So it's clearly looking like America is weak, man. Right? Because it doesn't matter what Satan Yahoo wants to say in Trump's ear. All these military generals around him are like, "Yo, this is going to be an absolute bloodbath if you do this. It's going to start something that you can't reverse." You see? So I wanted to get a precept, but I forgot what the precept was. Let me take it back a little bit.
Basically, that is stage 8. Okay. So it's not just war, it's the point where backing down becomes politically impossible. And
So let me get this in Isaiah, the Wada Yahweh Hashem Yahushua. This is Isaiah chapter 13. All right. And I'm not going to make this too long, man. You know what I'm saying? It's already over 30 minutes. Let's just get this real quick. Isaiah 13 and verse 3, it says, "I have commanded my sanctified ones. I have also called my mighty ones for mine anger, even them that rejoice in my highness. The noise of a multitude in the mountains, like as of a great people, a tumultuous noise of the kingdoms of nations, gathered together. The Lord of hosts, Yahweh Tazabawath, mustereth the hosts of the battle."
That is the key historical pattern that Dalio emphasizes. So the most dangerous moment in history is when two powers are close in strength and neither can afford to look weak. And today, that flashpoint that people talk about is Taiwan with China. So if China moves militarily and the U.S. responds militarily, that is stage 8. We start to get into war. Now, you could argue that the United States going after Iran could actually be the trigger of stage 8. You could say that because then if the war with Iran brings in Russia, brings in China, we start seeing if the U.S. starts strangulating China in other ways, like we see with Venezuela, trying to basically harm the Belt and Road Initiative. We're also seeing a lot of sabotage all around the world in regard to the Belt and Road Initiative. So we're seeing like this rise of Islamic extremism.
And so this is where you go into prophecy, you know what I'm saying? Because everything has to go according to the Lord's the Lord's order, you know what I'm saying? All right, everything is done decently and in order. So the Lord is going to have this thing get to a boiling point, you know what I'm saying? All right, but remember, our Lord told us that the end is not yet. The end is not by and by. You see? Isaiah 42:9. "Behold, the former things are come to pass, and new things do I declare. Before they spring forth, I tell you of them." Okay? Let me see. Let's go to Damn, where do I want to get? Bear with me, Aki. This is Isaiah chapter 46 and verse 10. Let's start at verse 9. It says, "Remember the former things of old, for I am the Most High, and there is none else. I am the Most High, and there is none like me, declaring the end from the beginning, and from ancient times the things that are not yet done, saying, my counsel shall stand, and I will do all my pleasure." You see? It says, calling a ravenous bird from the east, the man that executeth my counsel from a far country. Yeah, I have spoken it. I will also bring it to pass. I have purposed it. I will also do it. You know what I'm saying? And what's this talking about? It's talking about Russia, man. Russia is gonna lead the charge. It's not gonna be China. You see? You have to understand prophecy. It's not gonna be China that kicks this thing going. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna be Russia that's gonna be the guard to all these nations. Right? Just like I just saw an article where Russia is now backing Cuba. You see? While America was trying to chokehold Cuba, Russia is coming to its aid and is providing all this oil. You see what I'm saying? So Russia is playing this part in this role in this grand stage, man, of prophecy. Okay. So yeah, that's pretty much it, man. That's pretty much it. I didn't want to make this too long, so I pray this lesson was edifying to the elect of the nation of Israel. This has been your brother Zakaria Allah, branched out here in Williamsport, Pennsylvania. In closing, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem Chakodash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone who rule well and who teach well. Peace and blessings to the hopeful elect. Shalom.